Greetings, friends, and welcome back to the 3 Minute Horror Show. I'm your host, Ben, and I'm joined with Brandon from the Brandon vs. Movies YouTube channel. We do lots of film analysis together. It's lots of fun. And today we are continuing on with the Leprechaun series, and we're doing Leprechaun 4 in Space from 1997. This one was directed by Brian Tenchard Smith, the same guy who directed 3, the one that's in Vegas. And this is a very strange entry in the series. And Brandon, why don't you get us started?
Yeah, so this one is weird. They never refer to the leprechaun as leprechaun in this one. I don't think he's basically an alien. Like he's from another planet, so he's an alien, but he's the leprechaun that we know. It's very weird. They never address it. They
Yeah.
never address anything that happened in the previous movies. It's just now he's trying to wed himself to this princess so he can get. She wants the gold that he has, and he wants the power that comes along with being married to a princess. Meanwhile, these space marines come by to kill him because he's been messing around with their mining operations or something. So they go to kill him, and they do quote kill him in a really they throw a grenade. He dives in the grenade. However, one of the marines thinks it's a good idea to take a piss on the leprechaun's corpse, and the leprechaun, his soul or magic or something, flies up the guy's dick, for lack of a better word, better way to describe it. But he doesn't notice anything's wrong, so they all head back. And there's a scientist, female scientist on board who's there, and the whole thing's being run by this Blofeld kind of
Yeah.
guy who's half mechanical. Everything in this movie is a ripoff of another movie.
It
Um,
super is.
that Blofeld guy, he's like the guy from Doctor Who, that the Daleks or whatever, the
Yeah.
that whatever that guy's name is, who's like his lower half of his body is like a little tank kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't know
Um,
the answer to that
yeah, but
one.
he's like that guy, and the aliens influence here is so
Oh,
obvious. Like
off the
it's
charts.
just down to the way the Marines act, to the whole countdown to the ship exploding, to I'll ruin the ending, but blowing the leprechaun out of the airlock. It's like
Yeah.
everything was just lifted from mostly Aliens or another movie. And so mix that with a whole bunch of weirdly bizarre scenes, and then you got Leprechaun 4.
Yeah.
I'll say it is entertaining. I'll say I like it, but it was a step down. I had problems with part 3 for just their story and pacing. This
Mhm.
one, the pacing might have been better, but it was again just all over the place with just the weirdest shit.
It's really strange. It really is. I think that this is an Earth leprechaun that's made it into space. Just from the way that he's singing Irish folk songs and talking about his mother, his mother taught him this song when he was a wee lad and all that sort of thing. I just get the impression that he that this is an Earth leprechaun who's made it into space. I don't know how. I don't know why. Who knows? But this movie felt more like a TV show than a movie. At least the intro of it. Um, they alternate between using some really, really fantastic practical effects that we'll talk about in a little bit, all involving that Blofeld type guy. Pretty much everything that happens to him looks really cool and it's done practically. But they also use a lot of terrible CGI. So anytime you're seeing a ship, the outside of the spaceship in this movie, it looks like dog shit. It looks terrible. They also do some other questionable things with CGI, like making the leprechaun grow. Near the end of the movie, they make the leprechaun grow with an enlargement ray, and they didn't take into account the fact that you can't just take an image of somebody and blow it up and leave it at the same resolution because it'll end up looking really stupid. And it did. Like he looked all pixely and weird, and it was dumb. Um, I think the technology would have existed back then to, do some scaling of the resolution, but who knows?
Yeah, it looked like 32-bit graphics from like 1992. Like it
Yeah,
was like even at the end after the leprechaun gets blown out of the airlock and he explodes,
yeah,
and then his like hand is flying by the window, and he
Yeah.
gives him the finger, which is supposed to be funny,
Yeah.
but it looks like Nintendo from like 1987. Like it's just such bad graphics.
Yeah. Playing some Sega CD games.
Yeah, exactly.
So this one also stars Miguel A. Nunez Jr. from Return of the Living Dead, who's out there still doing stuff. And he was also the guy who was singing on the toilet in Friday the 13th, if you
Okay,
remember.
part five. Yeah,
Yeah, where him and his girlfriend were singing to each other while he was taking a crap,
yeah.
which is always a classic scene. And it also has Debbie Dunning from Home Improvement. And so she was the replacement for Pamela Anderson as the Tool Time Girl, Heidi the Tool Time Girl or whatever. So they are a group of Space Marines, like Brandon said, and their boss is a guy who has half metal head, which is interesting. It was a pretty neat looking effect, I thought. I mean, it's something, it wasn't particularly slick or it didn't look like up to professional standards. It was a straight to video movie. It's something that could be recreated by indie horror people now quite easily, I'd say. Yeah, so they do go and find this leprechaun on a planet, and he's got a princess named Princess Zarina from the Andromedans or something like that, whatever civilization she represents. He wants to become a king, like Brandon mentioned. He wants power to rule the universe, and she wants gold, so she's down. She's down with it. What happens though, also as Brandon mentioned, he jumps on a grenade that's thrown over their way. He throws Princess Zarina out of the way, but her hand is blown off in the process. And then they do the thing with the guy where he pisses on the leprechaun's leg and it travels up into his wiener, whatever, right? So these guys figure if they bring the princess back, it's going to score them big points with the aristocracy of this civilization that she represents, as well as they have the bits and pieces of this leprechaun. So it's a twofer. Now, luckily for the Blofeld guy who runs the ship, the scientist, they find out that this woman can regenerate limbs. So he's like, oh man, if this lady can regenerate limbs, I'm going to take some of her DNA and I'm going to regenerate all my own limbs because I have no limbs. I look all weird and I've got my heart sitting in a jar of goop and it looks weird and it's just pumping like crazy all the time. Um, so they decide that they're going to do that. Meanwhile, Debbie Dunning gets this guy who pissed on the leprechaun all hot and bothered. So she gives him a boner, and it's her own words later. Um, she gives him a boner. They decide that they're going to go off and get it on in the garbage area of the ship instead of going to one of their rooms because I assume they have rooms on the ship. They're going to go to the trash area, and that's when the leprechaun does a chest burster, except out of his dick. So it's a dick burster. He pops out, and it's leprechaun time. Debbie Dunning wonders, is it my fault because I gave him a boner? I don't think so. I think the leprechaun was coming out one way or another.
And for that scene, I will thank them. They could have made that a lot more graphic and disgusting,
Yeah,
and they did hold back.
yeah.
He kept his pants on, and you could just see there was a whole bunch of movement, like something thrashing around in his crotch, and then the leprechaun explodes from his pants. But you don't see anything that would be offensive to see other than that.
This movie is odd in the respect that I think they blew their entire effects budget on Mitten Hand and what happens to Mitten Hand. Because most of the kills in this movie are either not shown or they're very understated. They're very just
There is the
standard.
one with the where he throws the tray at that guy's head.
Well,
That
yeah,
one.
yeah. I consider that part of the whole mitten hand thing because it
Okay.
was happening in the same room. Yeah. At one point, the lackey, first of all, the lackey gets what I assume is a little hatchet in his balls because he has to pull it out after. And then the leprechaun throws a tray at his face, and true Looney Tunes style, he throws it hard enough with the guy's head against the wall that it pancakes his whole head, and it's got winking eyes and stuff. Classic stuff. Practical effect too. Looked pretty neat.
Yeah, that's again, like I hadn't seen this one in years, and that's the one death that I remember just because of it was so ridiculous. But at least they did it practically, so it's like I'll give them kudos for that.
Yeah. But most of the other practical effects that they did, like one guy gets killed by a big crate being dropped on him and you don't see anything. I think Debbie Dunning just gets stabbed. One guy gets
Yeah,
clawed, you
guy
know?
gets um they're wearing like hazmat suits and they're in
Yeah.
some level or some area with like radiation or poisonous air or whatever, some sort of thing. And then Leprechaun cuts his suit, and then you see him later, and he's like a skeleton.
Yeah, it's just a skeleton in the suit. So what happens is I'll go to the Mitten Hand kill because I thought it was or the what happens to Mitten Hand because it's probably the coolest part in this whole movie. So the leprechaun, when he's looking for Princess Serena, he's looking for his bride. This one, the gold is taking a backbench to this woman that he's looking for, his bride. So he finds the lab eventually. He tricks his way into the lab by making himself appear as the naked lady scientist that is with the currently with the Marines. There's weird TNA in this movie, and I'll get into that in a minute. Like it's just shoehorned in. Um, so he gets his way into the lab, and he's talking with Mittenhand, and it's kind of an interesting conversation because they're both monsters. Mittenhand's a monster, Leprechaun's a monster. Leprechaun's ultimate goal is to get power and be king, which was never his goal before, but it is in this movie. Okay. Mittenhand's goal is to rule with an iron fist and rule by fear. And it almost seems like they're kind of on the same page for a minute, but then the leprechaun says, "No, you're the real monster." And then he takes the DNA that they've extracted from this woman and made into some sort of serum to grow Mittenhand's limbs back. But he also throws in a scorpion and he throws in a spider. And he throws it in the blender and then he jams this dude in the neck before him and Zarina leave because he's woken her
It's
up.
not looking like it's the back of the head. That way they could
Oh,
fake
okay.
it without actually having to show him plunge it. They just hide
Ah,
the thing
okay.
behind his head, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh, come on, that's so cheap.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But it's what happens to this guy afterwards is probably, I think it's the coolest thing in this movie because they did it practically. He takes up nearly a whole room with this body. He is man, spider, scorpion thing, and he's got webs everywhere. And I thought it was pretty neat. Apart from the fact that he wanted to eat flies nonstop, I thought that was stupid. But what did you think of
yeah,
that?
yeah, I like that. It was you could see the influence from The Fly,
Yeah,
the movie. But yeah, it looked pretty cool. You could tell I'm glad they did it practically. Like if they did that CGI, it would have been so bad. They
yeah,
did it practically. It was pretty cool. He captures one of the Marines in his web.
yeah,
And I thought it was weird that finally, when the main scientist woman comes and saves the guy who's caught in the web, he doesn't like push the web off him.
no,
He's got this like weird skin. It's like skin web stuff all over him,
yeah,
and he just keeps it on there like he's wearing it like a cape. Like, wouldn't you just brush that off? I don't know. It was so. I know they spent all their time and money
yeah.
on it that they didn't want to. They wanted it seen, but
Well,
there's things like that. But
the way
I
all
did like
the
that creature.
yeah, the way all the webs on him were bloody, I thought that he had been torn up a bit by the guy, but apparently not. Like he was just
Yeah,
saving him for later.
yeah,
But they did when Mittenhand did die, they did definitely bring in the influence from the Fly because he was doing the help me," like the guy does at the end of the Fly. Not the Jeff Goldblum Fly, the
yeah.
original Fly, the black and white Fly. But yeah, he gets the Jason Voorhees in space special where he gets frozen and then he gets shattered. So
Yeah,
that's
they did that. That's from Terminator
oh
2
yeah,
as well.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a
So
lot.
many things.
Everything in like pretty much every single thing that happens in the movie was just a cliche. They even have the oh, what's the password to the ship to
Yeah,
turn off the self destruct, and it's like this is a brilliant genius.
yeah,
Why would it be a word? He would have some complicated code that no one could guess.
yeah.
The code is wizard. Like what? Why would he? Come on.
Because he
Uh,
referred to himself as the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, yeah, because yeah, one part he called himself the Wizard of Oz,
Yeah,
but yeah,
so dumb.
it's
But
ridiculous.
there's also weird TNA shoehorned into this movie for no reason whatsoever. Like I mentioned, I mean, it kind of makes sense if he's trying to gain access to the lab that he's going to prey on the horny science assistant guy by pretending to be a nude woman. But Zarina, who is in league with the leprechaun, she's just as bad as the leprechaun. She's a bad guy. She decides that these Marines that are opposing them are marked for death. And the way you mark someone for death in her society is showing them your tits. And so she does, which is weird. Okay, that didn't need to be in there. I mean, what are you gonna do? It's a horror movie, right? From the
Yeah.
90s. But and then there's one for the ladies too, because at one point, Books, the Marine who's with the scientist lady, and they're romantic together, he gets his shirt torn off. And so he's walking around and he's all greased, like he's all oiled up, you too. You can tell that they've put some baby oil on this guy, walking around for the ladies. And then when the scientist lady is running away from Mitten Hand, he pulls her pants off for some reason. And so she's just running around in her panties for the end of the movie. It's
And
weird, right? That didn't need to happen.
that is one kind of, it's more of a casting issue, and they do it for a lot of these movies. Like
Mm,
in Aliens, like the 1986 Aliens, like I believe that those people were space marines.
yeah,
Like the guys looked rough, and even the women, like
yeah,
they weren't ugly by any means, but they look like these look like real women that would be in the
yeah,
military. Now, pretty much all the guys, there's maybe two people that look like they could be soldiers. The rest look like handsome pretty boy models who just
mm,
work out, and just the super hot women. And it's like
yeah,
I don't buy for a second that any of these women has ever held a gun. I don't buy that any of those guys have ever held a gun. And that guy, when he gets his shirt ripped off, it's like, yeah, he's well built, he works out,
yeah,
but the guy's never lifted a thing in his life other than weights.
yeah,
Like you figure a Marine would just have like a battle bod like a battle scarred body, right? Just give him something. Like Rambo, he just got scars on him. This
yeah,
guy was like a perfect Adonis. Like I didn't buy that
yeah.
they were real soldiers.
He's got gym muscles. And then what happens? There's also a drag show in the middle of it, which was weird too.
You know what the hell's going on with that, but
Yeah. The Leprechaun, it seems that he can work his magic not just on humans but on robots too, because their sergeant guy is a robot, it turns out. And I don't know how the Leprechaun can do that, but he took over this guy's mind and he made him do a little drag show in the middle of it.
yeah, that's another thing. It never makes sense because yeah, for one, how does he possess him if he's a robot?
Yeah.
But also, if he can possess people, why doesn't he just possess everyone all the time and get what he wants?
Yeah,
And there's
exactly.
times like he can just use his magic and throw a pair of handcuffs at a guy and handcuff him to a wall.
Yeah.
But why does he do? If he could just materialize anything at any time, why is he getting shot? And like, why would he allow himself to be defeated if he could just kill everyone with a wave of his hand?
Yeah.
He can like make people explode, like just make their guts explode by just a movement of his finger.
And
But sometimes you can't do that. It's like they just make up whatever needs to be done in whatever scene.
how powerful must leprechauns be if they are earth creatures that can work their magic out in space?
Yeah.
Out in the vast reaches of the universe, they can still have all this power. The other thing that I found interesting was if going down the path that you were talking about, if the leprechaun can just use his magic and make people do his bidding, what I would do is go over to the guy who has my gold, say, "Give me my gold," and then the
Yeah.
guy would say, "Okay, here you go," and I'd be like,
Yeah.
"Movie
Exactly.
done."
Yeah.
Kill this guy who had my gold, but then everybody else you're spared because I just got my gold back. I can go back to doing whatever it is I do.
Not to mention, I gotta have a word with this leprechaun. Like, if you care about this gold so much and you keep losing it and dropping it, and people are taking your coins,
Yeah,
like put a lid on it. Just put a lid on it
yeah.
so it's not spilling everywhere and you're losing it and people are grabbing it. Just take better care of it.
This was the biggest gold pile ever as well. This is the biggest one that we've seen so far. This is a universal gold and gems pile that's takes the middle of a room and it's everywhere all at once. How did he
And
kill
then
that? Oh yeah, he killed the first guy, the guy who took his gold while they were in the cave. He had a green lightsaber.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, the Star Wars ripoff.
So
Yeah.
dumb.
But you mentioned before about how this one, like the gold, took a back seat. That his main drive was to marry this princess.
Yeah.
So it seems like they're flip flopping back and forth. The first movie, he was trying to get his gold. The
Hmm.
second movie, he was trying to marry that girl who was a descendant of the girl from 1,000 years ago that he wanted.
Right.
Part three, they went back to him wanting the gold. Part four, they're back to him wanting to marry a princess.
It's so
It seems
weird.
like they're just going back and forth of what his ultimate like um, goal is.
So what did you think of this one overall?
I I would like I would have to give it a 4. There's stuff
Oh,
there to
okay.
like. It is fun to watch. Like if you, that's when I was younger watching it with friends. Like it's stupid. It's fun to sit there and laugh at it. It's entertaining. It has some cool elements. It's just it's not very good. And I know that it's just a Leprechaun movie, but I think they need to try harder.
Yeah. I ended up giving it much higher than you. I ended up giving it a 7.
Oh,
Simply because I was entertained. Um, I really, I think when I gave the score, I was really enamored with what they did with Mitten Hand. I thought it was really neat, and uh, maybe that's why the score ended up being so high. No idea, but maybe I was tired that day. I don't know, because
that's
talking
fine.
about it
I
now,
do watch it periodically. I've seen them all several times.
yeah,
So I do like this one, but yeah, it has its drawbacks.
yeah. All right. So, folks, that brings us to the end of our talk about Leprechaun 4, Leprechaun in Space. You please go ahead and subscribe to both of our channels down at the bottom. You can click the subscribe button and both of them come up. You can click them one at a time or both at the same time if you're really fast. And it'll take you a second, cost you $0. You can come back and listen to us talk more about Leprechaun on this channel, or you can come back and listen to us talk about Child's Play on Brandon's channel, or Evil Dead, which is something that we're going to be starting soon. We've also got a one-off coming up very soon on the movie called The Bad Seed from 1957, which we found very interesting, and we think you will too. So tune in for our discussion over there, and come and join us next time. Bye.